So, you decided to get into the Zelda series. Or maybe you've played a few games but never got into it as a whole, but still want to know more about the overall story. Well, you've come to the right place. Today, I'll be starting a mini-series I'm calling The Beginner's Guide to Zelda, where I'm going to attempt to quickly go over the events of each timeline in the Legend of Zelda franchise. Here in part 1, I'll be going over what I'm dubbing the Origin Timeline, which is everything that occurred before the timeline split. In later videos, I'll go over the Child Timeline, the Adult Timeline, and then the Fallen Hero Timeline. I will say that my summary of some of these games may be a bit longer than others, but that's what happens in a series that not only goes to home consoles, but handhelds as well. Some games just have more content than others. So, with all that out of the way, we've got quite a bit to talk about, so let's get into it, shall we? Long before the events of the games, there was a war. This war was waged by the demon lord Demise. Unable to defeat Demise by herself, the goddess Hylia crafted a sword, dubbed the Goddess Sword, and gave it to a hero who was able to defeat Demise and seal him away. Until... So the timeline officially begins with Skyward Sword. Before Hyrule, before Broken Timelines, hell, even before Ganondorf, there was Skyloft, a city built on floating rocks in the sky. The particular Link that we will see in this one is a knight in training. It's pretty well hinted at throughout the timeline that the Links come from a lineage of knighthood, so this makes sense. After Link passes the final exam to become a knight, Zelda is kidnapped by... a tornado? Which I don't understand, because how do you get a tornado above the clouds? And again, how do you grow food up here? I'm getting off topic. Anyway, Link tries to save her, but fails. While recovering later that night, he hears a voice and wakes up to find Fi. Yes, it is pronounced like Fi, and I will fight anyone who says otherwise. Who proceeds to lead him to a hidden chamber underneath the goddess statue at the very top of Skyloft. Here, Link is told that it's a sacred duty to take up the goddess sword laying inside to search for Zelda and take his place in destiny. Yeah, the poor guy doesn't even get a chance to argue with any of this, but this is the start of his journey as he makes his way to the surface with a new purpose. Link first lands near a temple, which he goes inside and finds an old lady who gives him some sick lessons and sends him on his way. Now, it's important to note that there are 3 regions of the surface world that Link goes to, even though I won't be detailing what he does in them. Faron Woods, Elden Volcano, and Lanayru Desert. These locations are named after their respective guardian dragons. You'll also see these names a few times throughout the series. After going through a few dungeons in each of the regions, each time getting to Zelda but then Impa telling him he's not good enough to protect her, Link finally catches up with them again, but they are attacked by Girahim, the self-proclaimed demon lord. Link is able to hold him off just long enough for Zelda and Impa to escape through a time gate. Link then returns to the old lady, who tells him about the time gate and explains that he needs to open it himself using his sword, but can't with the sword in its current state, and thus he must upgrade it. After doing some backtracking, Link is able to upgrade the Goddess Sword into what we know as the Master Sword. Kinda. It's not completely powered up at this point, but it's good enough to open the gate. After going through the gate, he meets with Zelda, who explains to him that she is a reincarnation of the goddess Hylia, and then powers the Master Sword to actually be the Sword of Evil's Bane. She tells Link that he must defeat Demise once and for all, and then seals herself away in a giant crystal. Which is, like, super extra, but hey, points for showmanship, I suppose. Anyway, things go to shit because of course they do, which leads to Link battling Girahim once again, and then eventually the big bad himself, Demise. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail about anything you do that's not major to the overall lore of the game, but I do want to take a quick moment to talk about how awesome this fight is. Demise has what looks like his own evil version of the Master Sword, and after some standard sword fighting, you use the Skyward Strike you learned at the beginning of the game to channel actual fucking lightning into your sword to strike him down. Once you defeat Demise, he curses Link and Zelda's entire bloodlines to be trapped in this never-ending battle of good versus evil. This is what we know as Link and Zelda versus Ganondorf. Demise's essence is then absorbed into the Master Sword, hopefully locked away forever. To finally officially finish things off, Link and Zelda return to the goddess statue in Skyloft to find that the Triforce was hidden there, and use it to wish for Skyloft to return to the surface world, reconnecting it all at once, and officially but unofficially forming the land we know as Hyrule. So after the events of Skyward Sword, word had gotten around of the Triforce's power, and a war broke out as people tried to get their hands on it. This is known as the Era of Chaos. The reason I'm bringing this up is because there's a group of people that are known as the Interlopers, who were a particularly shitty group of people. They were such a threat that the goddess of Hylia sent a group of spirits called the Spirits of Light to banish these people to the Twilight Realm. Remember this for a later video. After all this, the Temple of Light was created to house the Triforce and sealed away in the Sacred Realm, which was locked by the Master Sword. After quite some time of peace, there was an invasion of evil monsters and such. A race of people called the Minish descended from the sky with a sword forged with the power of light imbued in it, called the Picori Blade, which was given to the hero of men. This hero locked away all the monsters in a box called the Bound Chest, which he sealed shut with the Picori Blade. This would lead to the Hylians celebrating the Minish every year with the Picori Festival, in which there would be a sword fighting tournament and the winner would get to touch the Picori Blade. Flash to present day where the game begins. It's the day of the festival, and Zelda invites Link to join her in exploring the festival. This comes to a head when a winner, Vati, is announced. As he is brought to his prize, instead of touching the blade, he breaks it and in turn destroys the only thing sealing away all the monsters. The duty of repairing the blade is thrust upon Link, mostly because he is Link. Poor guy. So it's on Link to go and find the Minish so they can repair the blade. On his way, he meets Eslo, a talking hat. Like seriously, that's just how you meet him. Along the journey, he explains that he used to be a Minish, but a student of his, spoiler alert, it was Vati, used his latest creation, a wish-granting hat, to make himself powerful. Apparently, his first order of business was to turn his mentor into a hat. Odd flex, but go on. So after finding the Minish that can repair the Picori Blade, they explain that it must be made more powerful using the power of 4 elements. Each time he obtains one of these elements, the blade allows him to split himself into more Links temporarily. Eventually, Link is able to fully upgrade the Picori Blade, now dubbed the 4 Sword, as he can split himself into 4. During this, Vati had drained Zelda of her power and used it to make himself more powerful. Using the power of the 4 Sword, Link is able to defeat Vati and steal him away. Using the Mage's Cap that Eslo had created, Link wishes for Hyrule to return to normal. Vati would return from this in 4 Swords, but he's pretty easily dispatched once again thanks to the 4 Sword. Also, this is a great example of what I said earlier of some games have more content than others. A civil war has broken out in Hyrule. Not a whole lot has ever been explained about this, but the end result is that Ganondorf, leader of the Gerudo people, feels loyalty to the king of Hyrule, and the land is united under one banner. A Hylian woman flees from the war to the Kokiri forest, where the Great Deku Tree agrees to watch over her son for her. Now for the one I'm sure you have all been waiting for, Ocarina of Time. We start with a young Link who lives among the Kokiri, a race of children who never age. He is woken up by Navi, a fairy that the Great Deku Tree sends to summon Link. The tree explains to Link that Ganondorf has cursed it, and that Link must go inside the tree to kill the curse from within. Though Link is victorious, the Great Deku Tree perishes anyways. 'Cause fuck it, I guess. Before withering away, the tree tells Link that he must go to the land of Hyrule and speak to the princess. After a fun little stealth section, Link finally meets Zelda, who tells Link that she's been having dreams that she thinks are premonitions, and that they must stop Ganondorf and his evil plans. To do so, Link must retrieve 3 stones to unlock the Temple of Light and obtain the Master Sword. In doing so, Link is locked in a time chamber for 7 years so that he may mature enough to fight Ganondorf. I guess. I don't know, it's a whole weird thing. I mean, maturing his body doesn't mature his mind, so like, regardless how they do this, he's still mentally a 10-year-old going on this grand adventure. I don't think they thought this through all the way. Anyway, this begins a whole thing of Link going back and forth through time, thus why this Link is dubbed the Hero of Time. So, after first entering this new land of Hyrule, he discovers that Ganondorf has obtained the Triforce of Power and used it to take over Hyrule. Link makes his way to the Kokiri Forest where he meets a baby Deku tree. This tree explains that Link is, in fact, not a Kokiri as he thought he was, but actually a Hylian as he was the baby left in the forest during the Hyrule Civil War. It's also here that Link learns that a lot of figures he met as a child were actually sages, who have since been trapped by Ganondorf and must be released as to aid Link in his quest to stop him. So as Zelda games go, Link is able to defeat Ganondorf, who then gives up all his humanity to become the true Demon King, Ganon, a giant pig form that, oh would you look at that, Link also defeats. Now, it is important to note that along the way, if Link falls in battle at any time, this actually creates the Fallen Hero timeline, which I will go over in a later video. But, as long as you don't suck at the game, it ends with Zelda sending Link back in time to get a proper childhood, which results in the split between the child timeline and the adult timeline. In the adult timeline, Link is no longer present in the slightest. This results in a whole slew of things that we'll go over later. However, in the child timeline, Link returns to Zelda and I guess somehow manages to convince the king that Ganondorf really is a bad guy, as if they'd listen to a 10-year-old about that. Sorry, a whole lot of "are you serious" going on in the plot for this one. But anyway, after Ganondorf is imprisoned, Link sets off on a new adventure, which we'll be discussing in the next video, in which I'll explain the child timeline. And there. Now you are all caught up on the events of the Origin timeline. I tried not to go into too much detail about what all happens in each game, as I personally believe you should go play them yourself. The whole series is absolutely fantastic, and there's something to love about each and every game. As I've said before, this is going to be a 4-part mini-series, which will probably end up closing out the Zelda part of my content, at least for a while I try to decide on which game series to touch on next. I'll probably end up running a poll over on my Twitter when this video goes up, so if you're watching this early enough, go check that out. I'll leave a link to my Twitter in the description below. While we're at it, what's your favorite Zelda game in the Origin timeline? How old were you when you first got to play it? Let me know in the comments below. Until next time, friends, I'm Voodoo Johnny Fear, hoping you all have a wonderful day.